Okay. How'd that go? That go okay? You know, teaching it and giving feedback or and receiving their other people's teaching to you, and all right, good. I'm going to read you an email I sent on Friday to one of my clients. One of my clients is having a hard time learning Wise Mind, and not just learning it, but knowing what it is and when to go with it. When do I know I'm in my Wise Mind? Okay. So I'll read you this email. Here's what I know through my own experience, learning and reading about Wise Mind. Wise Mind, or attaining wisdom, is the active integration of emotion mind and logical mind. Wise Mind brings together the cold logic of logical or reasonable thinking and the heightened sensitivity of emotion mind to a centered, calm state of Wise Mind. Wise Mind is doing the best you can under the circumstances. When you act skillfully with problems such as discomfort, distress, or crisis, you are in Wise Mind and doing the best that you can. When you relate what you know, like your intuition or truth, to your problems, like what hurts and uncomfortable, you are in Wise Mind. Wise Mind joins what you know to your problems. Your effort to link your problems causing discomfort and distress with your reason or logical abilities is the basis of Wise Mind. Sometimes you may access wisdom when suddenly confronted by another person and stay calm under pressure. Sometimes you find that in the midst of a crisis, you intuitively know the right or effective thing to do. Sometimes approaching a difficult problem generates an insight that unlocks a door, like the problem. Sometimes Wise Mind is seeing the whole picture and not just the parts. And in quotation marks I put, Wise Mind is greater than just emotion mind or alone or logical mind alone. Sometimes when faced with a difficult dilemma, Wise Mind reveals a clear choice. For me, my Wise Mind is a place where I find calm when I'm upset. Kind of like a sense of stepping inside my home when I've been away for a long time and experiencing homesickness. It's quiet and peaceful, kind of grounding and centering. Sometimes, though, I have to wait, tolerate, and allow my Wise Mind to come to me. This is why we have our distress tolerance skills to help us during this time of waiting. However, you have to have the confidence in knowing that you always have the capacity for wisdom. When change or acceptance is necessary, Wise Mind gives me the serenity of knowing which course to take. Wise Mind is not trapped in all or nothing thinking and can focus on what is effective to help me get through the crisis, most of the time by telling me what skills to turn to. Wise Mind is courageous, such as it feels scary to go with it sometimes, but does what is needed and effective in the situation anyway. In situations like this, you have to have willingness in doing what is needed, such as fully trusting your Wise Mind and going with it. For me, a willingness to go with my Wise Mind often requires courage, just like it takes tremendous amounts of willingness and courage to radically accept things we cannot change or control in reality. Wise Mind is confident. Self-confidence is knowing you can handle whatever problems in life comes along. When Wise Mind becomes clear, fear disappears and my confidence increases. I was taught when I learned Wise Mind that Wise Mind is like riding a bike. Believe it or not, riding a bike takes extraordinary effort, concentration, balance, and steering. You can learn Wise Mind like riding a bike only by experience and practice. First, you must be willing to exert a little extra effort to initiate or activate your Wise Mind. As you would fall or lean over if you're too far to the right, such as going towards emotion mind, or left, going too much to logic on a bike, you find Wise Mind by making the effort to find the balance of your emotions and logic. Intuition or Wise Mind is like pedaling. It takes you forward. Doubt, shame, and guilt are like pedaling backwards and putting on the brakes. Because you've learned to ride a bike already, you now can jump on a bike and ride, even if you haven't ridden in years. The same way with Wise Mind. Because you've learned from an early age to activate your Wise Mind in situations, I believe we are all born with the ability from day one. You can activate Wise Mind now and forever and find a better way. As you bring wisdom to the problems in your life, you will develop mastery, the feelings of being competent and under control. Hope that helps. So that's kind of like what I explained to her too about wise mind. All right? Okay. Okay. So I'm hoping over the course of these 5 days that bowl becomes a conditioned stimulus and I get a conditioned response. And if you drool, that's trouble. Okay? We'll have to do some quick behavior modification on that. Anyway, all right. Mindfulness. Sticking to this idea and theme of wise mind, I thought it would be fitting for a mindfulness exercise to have to do something with wise mind. And going with what we talked about before we went to lunch, how do you know you've dropped into your wise mind? Like, how do you know you're there? Okay, and the thing about it, it's personable for each and every one of us. Like, my experience of wise mind might be different than yours, and yours is different than theirs, and so I think you want to make this skill individual to you, okay? So here's what we're going to practice. We're going to practice activating wise mind. And how do we know when we've activated wise mind? So what we're going to do is this. When I ring the bowl 3 times, on the 3rd chime, I'm going to want you to do this. I want you to, this is the next mindfulness exercise I let, you can go for closing your eyes. I think you get more out of it if you close your eyes. You close your eyes, and I want you to think of a crisis. And what a way to come back and start from after lunch, right? Just close your eyes and think of a crisis that you're in. Maybe you're in right now. Or a crisis you were in recently. Or a crisis you can see yourself getting into in the near future. Right? And close your eyes, and I want you to think of that crisis. Think, where are you? What's happening? What's going on? What are you conflicted about? What's troubling you? Your emotions. And then I want you to do this. You're going to breathe in. And as you're breathing in, you're going to say this to yourself. Wise. And then breathe out and say this to yourself. Mind. Breathe in. Wise. Breathe out. Mind. Breathe in. Wise. Breathe out. Mind. And you're going to do this during the time that I give you to practice this, okay? So I'll ring the bowl 3 times to start, 3 times to finish. Breathing in wise, out mind. So what was that like for you? What was that experience like? What did you notice with that? Did you observe anything during that exercise?
There was a distraction.
Say again?
Distraction from whatever it was.
So the crisis, from the crisis. Cool. Okay, yeah?
I noticed, like, when you first described it and had each of us think of a crisis, I felt like my emotions coming up right away. And then when you had us use the wise mind, I noticed that I became more calm.
Mm-hmm.
And just, noticing my breath and focusing on the wise mind helped.
Good. Okay, thank you. Raise your hand if you felt like during that time you were able to drop into your wise mind, activate your wise mind. Okay, good. That's a exercise I do quite a bit, actually. I have OCD myself, and it's not the compulsive stuff, it's more obsessive, and I obsess over like crisis stuff, like worries. I worry a lot, and step on a crack, then you break your mother's back kind of thing, And so like in times where I can't solve or work on things that I am worried about, I'll do this exercise. Well, I'll just kind of close my eyes and breathe in wise, out mind. I keep doing that, and that's where I find that sense of calm, that sense of everything will be okay. If it doesn't work out, you'll make it, That's where I find that reassurance, is in my wise mind. But through that exercise, that's what I do, okay? So, all right, let's move on. Some about core mindfulness skills. Mindfulness in your own words. How would you define mindfulness? What does it mean? Yeah, the opposite of mindlessness. Yes. But how would you describe mindfulness? Being fully present. Fully present means what? Like awake, right? Eyes are wide open, fully present, fully engaged, fully open to what? Right now. This experience, this moment. So it's like present awareness, okay? Present openness, okay? Like I was on the way up here, and I stopped to get a pasty on the way up here. And there's this place that I like to stop and get a pasty from. And usually I eat it there, like they have a table outside, a picnic table, and I'll eat it there. But this time I ate it while I was driving. And I was driving and eating at the same time. I looked down, and about maybe a couple bites of pasty was left. I totally missed out on this experience. And I only come up here, once a year when they're open. The other times they're closed, because I'm coming back in. I was here in March, they were closed. They're coming back in December, they're going to be closed. This is the time they're open. And I missed out. Have you ever had that happen to you? Where you're going through the motion of reality of life, and you're mindless to this moment, and you miss out on that moment. I had some regret, man. I was like, dang it. I'm already like 20 miles down the road now. I'm not going to turn around and go back. I'm already late as it is coming up here. But I missed out. So you know what I did then? I pulled my car over and ate the last couple bites of my pasty mindfully. That's a difference in there. There's a difference between eating versus eating mindfully. Agree? Yeah. I like the way John Kabat-Zinn defines mindfulness. You ever heard of him before? He's like a mindfulness guru, okay? He says mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, without judgment, and present to this moment. So it's paying attention on purpose, okay? There are 3 what skills and 3 how skills. Now, what does that mean? What do we do to become mindful, and how do we become mindful? What do we do, and how do we do it while we're trying to become mindful? I heard through the grapevine that mindfulness was originally put into DBT, not so much for the client, but for who? Us, the therapist. So what that means is we just don't teach mindfulness. We practice mindfulness. We do mindfulness as well. Anybody already practice mindfulness in their daily life? Like take a daily course of trying to learn mindfulness in your daily life? Raise your hand if you do. Okay. I challenge you guys to do it. I mean, I promise you, that if you practice this, the mindfulness skills of DBT, it'll change your life over time. Promise you. Okay. All right. So the first skill we'll teach is a what skill. So we teach the what skills first. Teach the what skills first. And the first what skill you teach is a skill called observe. Observe. So if you were to ever go to a formal mindfulness training, like I highly recommend that you do, the first thing you probably will be taught is how to observe. Okay, so it's like the first step to mindfulness is observing. So observing, really at its most basic level, is to just notice. It's to step back and just experience the experience. It's just to observe something. And when you're observing something, that's what's observed. So we're stepping back and just opening the mind and just observing just that. So we teach people to what? Observe their feeling, observe their thought, observe sensation, observe desires, observe judgment, observe distraction. We can observe things outside of ourselves and inside of ourselves, agree? But in order to do that, you have to first learn how to step back from the experience to observe the experience. Like if I'm going to observe my walking, I have to step back away from my walking to see my walking, to experience my walking. If I want to observe my thought, I have to step away from my thinking to see my thinking, to observe it. But when I observe my thought or observe my emotion, I observe it in a non-attached way. Does that make sense? So I'm not attaching to what I'm observing, but I'm not pushing it away either. So I cling to no observation, but I get rid of no observation. So I prolong nothing, I terminate nothing. So when I observe a thought, I just observe a thought. I don't try to prolong it, I don't try to stop it, I just observe it. Which is a lot different, I think, than other therapies out there. You know, because other therapies, they tell you what to do with your thoughts. Change them. You know, stop them. Get rid of them. You know, think about them differently. Like with this technique, we tell them to do what with their thoughts? Notice. Yeah, do nothing. Just notice it. That's it. Don't do a thing to it. Just observe it.